Hello, Great River students. I'm Miss Megan, and today I'd like to talk to you about the spring equinox. Now, when we hear the word spring, we often get very excited. At least I do. Spring for me is a time when I can wash my snow pants and winter coat and store them away for the rest of the year and spend time outside without getting frostbitten. The snow is melting, the grass is reappearing and starting to grow. You might see little buds on trees or bushes as you go on a walk, maybe even some flowers popping out of the ground. That's spring. And now, equinox. Have you heard that word before? Maybe yes, maybe no. Well, when I hear equinox, I hear that word equal. And equal is an important part of the spring equinox. We have equal hours of daylight and darkness on the spring equinox. And this year, that occurred on March 19th. Now, this lesson is not going to be about why we have equal amounts of daylight and darkness on the spring equinox. It has to do with the sun and the earth being tilted and rotating. That you can research on your follow-up work. This lesson is going to be about the way we celebrate spring, the way we have in the past and the way we do in the present. This is a holiday that is celebrated in the Northern Hemisphere because the Northern Hemisphere has a spring equinox. And we are right here, most certainly in the Northern Hemisphere. We're going to start today by talking about some holidays to celebrate spring that occur over here. We'll start in the Middle East and come down to Japan and China over here. So in China, they have a fun celebration for spring involving eggs, egg balancing. Now, the thought is that if you are able to balance an egg right on its end, that you will get good luck and be prosperous in the new year. Here's an image of some Chinese school children with their beautifully decorated eggs, which they are balancing on one side. And you might be wondering, well, why eggs? And you'll see throughout these traditions that many eggs appear. Eggs are a symbol of new life, of rebirth, and of fertility. And so they appear in many of these spring holidays. The next holiday is one celebrated in the Buddhist religion called Higan. And this holiday is a time to reflect on ancestors and a time that the ancestors are thought to travel to the next world, to the world of Buddha, to the world of enlightenment. And so some people in Japan use this time to go and visit the grave sites of those loved ones, remembering their ancestors, placing flowers and offerings of food on the graves as they move on to the next world, the world of enlightenment. Now, the next holiday is one that is celebrated in Persia, which Persia isn't a country on the map anymore. It is a culture throughout many countries in the Middle East, and it's called Nowruz. And Nowruz literally means new day. It's been celebrated for over 3,000 years. And this new day is also called Persian New Year. Families get new clothes. They completely clean their entire house, buy new furniture for their house, and have huge feasts, dancing, and celebrations. One tradition that is part of this is to take a shallow dish, a week or so before New Year's, put it with soil and seeds and tend the little mini plants so that on New Year's Day you can have fresh sprouts at your table. This particular table is something you may want to research more in follow-up work. It's called the Table of the 7 S's. There are 7 food items that all start with S on here, and each one represents a different important part of this ritual. As we keep traveling around the world, the next holiday we're going to talk about is Easter, which is a Christian holiday. This holiday is a celebration of rebirth. The Christian faith believes that on Easter is the day that Jesus rose from the dead, a literal rebirth. And Easter is often symbolized with eggs as well. And here we can see in Easter baskets with lovely dyed eggs, again celebrating that spring and that rebirth. The last holiday I'd like to talk about is Passover. This is a holiday celebrated by Jewish people. And it has many different parts of its tradition. One part of it is unleavened bread. And the story of Passover is that the Israelite slaves were able to escape from Egypt out into the desert to form their own community and no longer be slaves. And in their rush to escape from Egypt, the bread did not have time to rise up. We usually use yeast, and bread takes a while to bake and the yeast to allow the bread to rise. But they were in a rush to get out, to escape from slavery. And so a meal with unleavened bread, which is bread that has not risen, is a tradition of the Passover. Both Passover and Easter are religious traditions, but have combined traditions that people have been practicing years and years, thousands of years ago, have become part of these religious traditions as well. Now, the very last thing that we need to talk about celebrating is what has become a worldwide holiday, Earth Day. Now, Earth Day was started by a senator from Wisconsin, Gaylord Nelson, who wanted people to understand and realize that we only have one Earth. This is it. It was first founded in 1970, and it was a day to educate and promote the protection of our natural environment. Now over 193 countries celebrate Earth Day, either in March or April. That is the story of the celebrations revolving around spring and the spring equinox. I encourage you to learn more as you complete your follow-up work. Thank you.